Hello, Abraham. Well, this says hello, Abrahams, which is not inaccurate. Esther has a difficult time when she writes something about us in the possessive term. She doesn't know where to put the apostrophe because she really does know that we are more than one consciousness that is calibrated together in this teaching cadre. And that as she is receiving us, she is synthesizing and receiving the cooperative components that are us. So you haven't heard that from us in that way, other than maybe hearing us say that we are a collective consciousness in perfect vibrational harmony. How is that? Hello, Abrahams. My question is, why am I so angry all the time? I feel like I hate people. I also feel like I'm a loving person and I love people, but I just get so angry. I do meditate. I give myself free time when I can. I prepaid my day. I feel like I can be a positive and happy person at work for my clients. But then when I get home, I can be just awful. I don't like having this short fuse. Sometimes my dog bites me. Is this him feeling off while I'm being angry? Wait, that's not what was written here. Is this him feeding off me being angry? Him finding mutuality in your anger? It's not exactly that. It's more you just being weird. You just being not who you really are. It's him not liking. It's like a dog will often bite someone who's afraid. Often afraid of the dog biting. Sometimes when you are around animals, Esther remembers going into the Seashore State Park in Virginia Beach. Beautiful place, vast place. And as Jerry and Esther walked into it, at first, it was like they were the only two people in the whole environment, on the whole planet, really. Not a bird, not a squirrel, nothing came anywhere near them. But as they relaxed and breathed and became at one in their new environment, then all kinds of critters, as Jerry called them, began coming and greeting or observing from a distance. But they made themselves seen, or they were easy to see as they came out to see who they were sensing, who they were feeling. So the dog biting you sometimes is a very good indicator that you are the one out of sorts. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes a dog can be abused or aggravated into its own defensiveness. But the majority of cases, when a dog who is domesticated, who lives with you, bites you, it's an indication that you're out of whack. So, please help me. You go on. I want to be happy all the time. And we want to say, don't ask to be happy all the time. Ask to be aware of where you are all the time. And you are. Don't ask to be never in step one, knowing what you don't want, because that contrast is helpful in knowing what you do want. So don't want to be happy all the time. But it is good to notice. You say, why am I angry all the time? And you mean so often. You don't mean all the time. You mean so often. And the reason is simple. It's because who you really are, the inner being within you, the energy that was you before you came into this physical body, who remains non-physically focused, you have an eternal relationship or connection to that part of you. And when you deviate from that pure positive energy, it feels terrible to you. And we have to admit, it is worse for any of you who have tasted the sweetness of alignment. Because once you have known the sweetness of alignment, then getting out of whack is really hard to take. So we take this as much more good news than bad news. Abraham, I have an awareness that I am not in sync with my inner being a good deal of the time. That's what we heard you say. And our response to you is, good for you. You have an awareness about it. Now, what are you going to do about it? And of course, that's the reason you're writing to us, because often you don't know what to do about it. And the reason that most people who feel this way, or any negative emotion in a chronic, consistently uncomfortable way, it is always because you're not in sync with your inner being. But what's the reason for that? It's because you have learned from those around you and from your exposure and experience with other humans to calibrate to them. And so you care more about being right. That's why people are often so defensive. It's hard to have a conversation with some people because they go right to "you're blaming me" mode. And sometimes you can't be soft enough to keep them from going there. And so your dog, such a good indicator, your dog wants alignment and often finds it. And so you want alignment and often finds it. The beasts of your planet are really good teachers. Biggest difference between your dog and you is that your dog doesn't have so many things to worry about or so many things to push against. So you say, you can be positive and happy at work for your clients. Is that interesting? For someone else. Maybe it's real. Often it is. Maybe it's not real. Maybe it's that you and most other people have learned how to present yourself in a way that appears to be something different than maybe what you're feeling. You're not doing anybody a favor by pretending to feel good when you don't. That's how you teach each other fakeness. Someone sent in, what is this thing I've heard about, fake it till you make it? And we say, it may work in a world where you are trying to be the way others think you should be when you are calibrating to each other, but it leaves you really lacking because you cannot count on any other to be consistent guidance to help you to discover and maintain, which is what you're asking us for here, a frequency of alignment. Why would anyone want to be aligned? Because that's where your wellness comes from. That's where your replenishment comes from. That's where your stability comes from. That's where your humor and your timing comes from. In other words, everything that you want is really contingent upon, it is necessary that you're in alignment with your inner being. And you are training yourself to fakeness, to stuff that isn't real. Things are not as out of whack for you as you think. And we're appreciating such a blunt lead off into this workshop. I am so angry all the time. No, you're not. But you don't want to be angry. And we told you why. And what you're going to do about it, or what you can do about it, keep listening here today. We'll get there several times for you.